Hey, welcome to the Actor's Career Compass, where we give actionable, bite-sized tips to help you navigate your acting career. I'm your host, Martin Benson, and today we'll be talking about voiceover work for actors. I am literally sitting in the studio right now with David Goldberg from Edge Studio. I'm in David's studio. David runs this well-known recording studio in New York, and he offered to join me on the podcast today to chat about voiceover work for actors. David, thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm really excited to chat with you. Have some questions, with all the things that are going on in the industry these days and the crazy situations that have kind of come up recently, AI, strikes, all these different things. Actors are always looking for ways to sort of, create opportunities for themselves. You don't want to just sit on the sidelines and hope things go well, right? So that's why we wanted to talk a little bit about voiceover, since actors think about how can I earn some additional money on the side? What can I do there? So my first question for you is, what would you say are some of the benefits for actors of getting into voiceover work?
You just said it perfectly. Extra income. It is such an amazing way to get some extra bucks in your pocket. I believe that there's a lot more voiceover work than acting work, and it's a logical progression for actors to get into voiceover work. Um, it's interesting. A lot of people in our industry say that you need to be a good actor to be a good voice actor. I don't really believe that. There are certainly some scripts that require good acting chops. There are other skills, or rather other genres of our industry that don't really require acting chops. So you kind of look at the whole industry and you can break it down into two kinds of scripts. Scripts where you need a natural storytelling type of voice, which would require acting chops. And then there are a lot of boring ass scripts. For example, telephony systems. When you call your bank and you hear press 1 for this, for your account balance, press 2. And you don't really need to be a good actor to be able to narrate those things. And that's so cool because this means that the voiceover industry is great for actors and non-actors. So a lot of voice actors are actors, and a lot of them are people who always wanted to act, but they are stage shy, camera shy, and so now they can do their thing just in front of the microphone, no one watching them at all, and they get to read their scripts, and so all in all, there are a lot of opportunities for a lot of actors to make a lot of extra income.
I think that that's so important what you said about you don't have to be in front of a huge group of people, whether that's on a stage or in front of the camera with all these lights on your face, because it's so easy to get into your own head. And when you're doing recordings, it's a mixture. Obviously, sometimes you're going to be in an actual studio, right? And there will be some people who are monitoring and, listening to the levels, and there's mics and all of that. But then there's plenty of actors who actually record voiceover work on their own, in their own closet, for instance, right? Because you can get decent quality sound. So I think that it's such a good point that you don't have to fear it so much, and almost you can even kind of get used to performing and start feeling more comfortable, and then eventually if you do want to do more stuff in front of people, you can.
Yeah, in fact, I will estimate that 98% of the work out there is done from a home studio.
Interesting.
Basically everything comes from home studios. Studios like ours exist because we are here for client attended sessions. And well, we're here for three things. Okay, four things. We're here for, number one, client attended sessions. So if we are recording, for example, a large commercial, like a national commercial or something, it's pretty common that the copywriter will be here, the video editor will be here, the clients want to be here, the marketing teams, the ad agency, and a voice actor can't do that from home. But any voice actor working from their home studio, they don't have the liability insurance to have 10 clients in their home, much less do they even have the space for that, right? So we exist for that. We also exist because there are a lot of celebrities who need to record whatever it is that they have to record, and they're traveling. They're not at a studio. They don't have their own studio. So whether they are narrating an audiobook or narrating a commercial, they need a place to record. So we're here for that. We're here for very complex recordings. In fact, Martin, like the one we talked about that's happening in this room right now, that standardized test, we have hundreds of hours of recording for this one program with multiple voice actors. I think we have probably between 8 and 10 voice actors, or 8 or 10 different characters, each being a different voice actor. And we do these things in multiple languages. So we're talking hundreds of hours of recorded audio with 20, 30, 40 different voice actors. That can't really be done from a home studio. Theoretically, a client could hire 30 or 40 different voice actors from their home studios and try to assemble all of that together on their computer, but that's hard. And every home studio has a different sound. So nothing will really sound cohesive when it's put together. So anyway, these are reasons why we have this commercial studio here, but almost every voice actor is doing almost all of their work from their home studio. And yeah, in a closet. It's amazing. I'll tell you another great thing for actors to get voiceover work. The barrier to entry is like nothing these days. It is the cost of equipment is insignificant to what it used to be. It used to cost you $3, $4, or $5,000 to have a decent studio at home. Now, $300. Seriously. So, these 5 studios we're in here in this complex, we have some really expensive microphones. And at home, I have a $100 USB microphone. Now, I'm not a voice actor. I own the business. I direct. But my sons, both of my sons, 13 and 16, they narrate audiobooks. $100 microphone. Perfect. With some foam on the walls or clothing in your closet, you're totally ready to go and have a great sounding studio. It's remarkable. It's super easy to get into these days. The thing that's complicated, that's the wrong word to use. The thing that people need to take seriously is acting training, or voice acting training rather. That's a key thing. I will tell you that a lot of actors say, "Oh, I'm an actor. Of course I can do voice acting." And they may be great on stage, they may be great on camera, but they're not great on mic. There's a big, big difference, and they need training. And so I would caution any any actor out there who wants voiceover work to get some training even before you buy your $100 microphone. Just don't put the cart before the horse. Just get some training, figure out your niche in the industry, where your strengths are, your weaknesses are. Decide if you should focus on audiobooks or radio drama, cartoons, commercials, video game narration, corporate training, and then purchase a studio if it makes sense to move forward.
Hmm. Interesting. So before I move to my next primary question, just for people who might be thinking or wondering about that, you said that it's good to have specific training for voiceover. So what might be one or two or even three little things that people should consider as, oh, I understand why this is so important? What's maybe applicable differently in voiceover that isn't so much for, let's say, theater or screen?
Voiceover is almost always based upon using your natural voice, trusting your natural voice. Yet, almost every person who is new to voiceover comes in and does some weird default voice, like a knee jerk reaction. They go into announcer mode. You give them a script for Subaru, and they say, Subaru! And it's like this big announcer hard sells thing. People go into characters, they go into some affectation of their voice. People tend to over articulate. They tend to speak incredibly quickly at the microphone. Also, when people read, a huge thing. In fact, maybe the biggest difference between written English and spoken English is that written English has a lot of punctuation marks, spoken English doesn't. So you're dealing with scripts that are laden with periods and commas and semicolons and ellipses and all this stuff. And as the voice actor, you get rid of a lot of it. Not all of it, but a lot of it you have to get rid of. Otherwise, you sound choppy like this. And when someone reads a script like that, it sounds choppy, it sounds artificial. And I'm exaggerating it, of course, to illustrate the point, but yeah, when people read for the first time, when people get into voiceover and they read their first script, you know they're reading. It doesn't sound natural. So our job in our training school is to help people figure out the differences between, really help them bridge the gap of sounding natural at the microphone. Interestingly, if a actor comes from a film and TV background, they are much closer to sounding great for voiceover as opposed to an actor who comes from stage, because stage is big. Stage is theatrical, melodramatic, and a lot of actors are taught to project with their voices and things, and you do not want that in voiceover. 99% of people listen to voiceover as a solitary activity. I mean, think about it. If you listen to an audiobook, you're probably by yourself. If you watch a commercial on TV or watch a documentary on TV, you're probably by yourself. So the voice actor is talking to just you. Yet stage actors are taught to project to Rosie, for example. So So actors coming from stage have a bit more learning to do, but then also they tend to be very often better at character work, which is great for fiction, audiobooks, audio dramas, which are huge right now, character work, talking toys, kids programming, all sorts of things like that.
Hmm. Interesting. So now, these days, we kind of mentioned this, or I alluded to this earlier, but with the crazy turmoil that has been going on in the industry and the AI technology that's coming out these days, I have to ask, what's your thoughts around new AI voiceover generation tools? And should actors be worried about that? How can they get around the competition that might be coming their way with these new technologies?
Yeah, it's a good question, and it's something a lot of us think about constantly. There are certain genres of the voiceover industry that will probably disappear because it all will go to an AI voice. And for the record, there's not really such thing as an AI voice. I mean, AI itself is a learning tool, and the voice that you hear, an automated voice, doesn't learn. It's just the result of an AI machine, of AI software. We have synthesized voices and cloned voices, but those voices don't learn. They don't generate more knowledge. But I know what you mean by AI. So there are a lot of applications in the voiceover world where human is just not necessary. So, like the example I gave earlier of a bank, when you call your bank and you hear that little IVR, it's called an IVR system that talks with you that says, for this, press one, for your account, press two. Okay, does that have to be some famous actor or, someone who's been directed to sound good? Say it this way. Say, for sales, press one, or try it for sales, press one, or for sales, press one. Like, who cares, right? It's just an IVR system. And so does the bank really need to go and spend like $500 to hire a human voice actor, or can they spend $5 and have a little machine do it for them? And honestly, it makes sense for AI type voices to do that for IVR systems for banks. And there are certainly some genres which I think lend themselves very nicely to appropriately to AI voice. So, absolutely, some of the voiceover industry work has gone away. And that's okay because most of that work was lower paid work, it was less creative work. At the same time, the areas of voiceover which require human authenticity, interaction, natural sounding voices, they're flourishing right now. Like we are busier than we've ever been. Our production department, we've taken on new engineers. In fact, one will be here in about a half hour. I'm supposed to meet up with someone because we're out of time, we're out of space. We have weekend and evening sessions now. Like the business is busy, and is busy with the genres of voiceover that require creative. They need humans. Like it's something that AI can't do yet. What makes a human sound human is that they speak with empathy, they have authenticity, they speak with they're spontaneous, and machine learning doesn't do that, at least not yet. And I can't foresee that happening. And you and I were chatting a bit earlier, and I mentioned the analogy of drum machines because I remember when drum machines came out, and we all thought. By the way, when drum machines came out, this studio was all music recording, not voiceover. So drum machines came out, and we got a drum machine, and we thought we will never need a drummer again. And lots of drummers were scared. And still, you turn on TV and you see bands, and there are drummers. Drummers are everywhere. It took a while, but eventually, I feel like the drumming world balanced out, and now there's a place for drum machines, and there's a place for human drummers. And I believe that the same thing has happened in many other industries, and I assume it will happen in voiceover also. Eventually, everything will balance out, and some forms of human recorded voice will be done by an AI software, and some will be done by humans.
Yeah, I think that that's really correct. I mean, it's happening all over the place. As you know, I run a headshot business, and people talk about the AI generated headshots these days and everything. And while that's usable, it's really only usable for certain applications. And a lot of people feel also uncomfortable sort of having a fake picture. And even a lot of people feel uncomfortable generating writing like articles and different
Yeah.
things using tools like ChatGPT these days because it just doesn't something about it, A, feels off. It's also kind of robotically written, and maybe that will change eventually, but there's so many nuances. You're talking about how people speak. I mean, do you pause for some dramatic effect and really to connect with the person, or do you just keep going? There's so many things that I don't think that machines can figure out. So I think that that's great that you're hopefully putting some people's minds at ease there.
You know, interesting thing in drums, when bands use drum machines, when they first came out, they were so perfect that at first no one really liked the sound of them because they sounded too perfect. And eventually drum machines came out with a like a well, I'm not sure what to call it, a control where you could actually make the drum not be as perfect, or the drum machine not be as perfect. So everything's not quite on beat. It's almost on beat, and you can fine tune how close to the beat it is. And if you take a drum machine and you take it off the perfect mode, whatever it might be called, and you make it, maybe you make it like 1% off or 5% off. Yeah, true, the beat is not perfect, but it sounds so much more human, and it sounds a lot better. So uh, that that is great for drum machines, and that is done to some degree for the AI voices these days. But like you're saying, with real dramatic pauses and things, I just can't imagine. I can't imagine a cloned voice or a synthesized voice that really can truly clone the creative powers of a human being because of the empathy and the dramatic pause and spontaneity and everything.
And these days, too, there's a lot of songs that are not bad that are kind of completely generated or mostly generated by AI that you can find on YouTube, but people don't go out of their way to listen to them because
Yeah.
it's like we want to hear things that are created by humans. So I feel like that too is another thing that people are going to be looking for realism amidst this fake stuff. So
Yeah, would you want to go to like see a go to a concert and it's like robots on stage?
I mean, it would be interesting to go once, but probably not more than
Yeah,
once.
yeah, it's weird, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you go to hear the music. I mean, the music sounds great when it's in a big theater with big speakers. So theoretically, you could just go and have someone like playing from like a pre-recorded CD or something, right? But no, we want to see human beings. Like, just it adds, it's real.
Yeah, exactly. Well, speaking on that and kind of continuing from there, for actors who are looking to get started in voiceover, what would be some advice you might share?
I would definitely begin with the program we have called the intro package, because that does a couple of things. It puts the candidate in front of one of us, and we can give them an evaluation assessment just to make sure that there will be work for their voice. Lots of people have terrific voices, super marketable voices, but they honestly they suck at the microphone. Like, they just, I don't mean to sound mean about it, but their reading disorders come into play, the inability to control their voice, whatever it is. They might be tone deaf, and nothing's wrong with that stuff, but it's better that someone finds out before they go and invest in $100 microphone and hours of training and everything like that. So the intro package includes the evaluation slash assessment. Then they get classes on the basics, like the fundamentals of the industry, so you know what to do and how to do it. And then it gets them like to really dip their toes in. For 1 month. They get a whole series of classes, so they can work with different instructors, different voice actors, talk with different voice actors, really, really kind of hear about the industry from lots of different people who are like in it. And it's an amazing experience for someone who's brand new. And it's cheap too. I think we charge 90 yeah, it's $95 for the intro program. So there's a lot to it. You
Yeah.
work with someone, you get feedback, you get all of these classes. It's great.
Yeah, that is pretty amazing, actually. I think just the fact that that's cheaper than some of the basic equipment that you might need is like it's a insurance policy to make sure that you're not wasting your time, because not only could there be certain issues or things that the person should be aware of about themselves or how they perform or what they might face there, but I mean, you also might not you might just realize you don't even like it
Yeah,
that
yeah,
much, like once you realize what it entails.
very true. Yeah, we look for two things when we assess someone. We look to make sure that their voice is right for the industry, and we look to make sure that the industry is right for them. And the industry is not always right for them. For example, we worked with a woman not that long ago who was unbelievably hyper. She couldn't like you and I are sitting still, but when she sat, she was like tapping with her hands like this and everything. And she just has a lot of energy. Nothing wrong with that. And she wanted to narrate audiobooks. And I said, seriously, like, can you sit still for 4 hours? And while I'm saying that, she was telling me she could. Her feet were kind of like tapping. I'm not sure if that noise will get on the microphone, but like I'm tapping my feet now. Like she's so full of energy. I don't know how she could stand relatively still to the microphone for 4 hours at a time. So I don't think audiobooks are right for her. So I said, think about commercials. They're short, 15 seconds, 30 seconds. We really look at someone and help place them. Like what makes sense. We listen to their voice, the way they read, their personal interests, their goals, their lifestyle, and look at all of the different genres of the industry, of the voiceover industry, and say, you know what makes sense based upon all the things that I just mentioned and the quality in which you read. It makes sense for you to go into nonfiction audiobooks or corporate training videos. You'd be better at documentaries. We think you'd be better at cartoons or commercials, and so we help people place where they could be most marketable.
Nice. That's so helpful. So I have one last primary question. Was just do you have any, in addition to what you just shared, any other resources that you recommend for actors who are looking to get into voiceover work?
Yeah, a few. On our website, we have a bunch of resources. We have a practice script library that is the largest in the industry. It's cool. There are about 6,500 scripts. They're in English and Spanish. They're broken down into, I think, 23 different genres. So it's great. You can practice endlessly. I mean, there's a lot to choose from. We have, the funnest thing I think we have, fun and cool, is a show called Home Studio Show and Tell. Every month we have this Zoom call and two voice actors give a tour of their studio. And everyone on Zoom asks questions. Everyone shares ideas. They swap information about studios. So someone may be giving a tour of their studio and they might say, yeah, I bought this kind of microphone stand. And someone else on Zoom will say, oh, where'd you get that? And now someone posts a link and someone else says, yeah, but it broke on me. And here's another one, a company that makes something similar that's even higher quality that doesn't cost more. And now there's another link on the site. And all of a sudden, the chat in the Zoom is like full of links and helpful information. And we let anyone talk. It's a voice industry. We don't mute everyone, so people can talk out loud and ask, like really talk and share questions, share information. So it's great because you get to see different voice actors who are actually doing it in their homes, how they structure their recording areas, whether it's a closet or a prefab booth or if they line the walls with foam, whatever they happen to do, you get to see it. So that's all. It's all free. It's all on our website.
Nice. That's awesome. Well, I really appreciate. Can you share your contact info or how actors should reach out if they're looking to get in touch with you or just kind of want to get things going in their voiceover career?
Yeah, sure. Oh, so we have two different departments here, two very different departments. We have our education department, which is essentially what I'm speaking about now, and that is for help getting into the industry. If you want help getting into the voiceover industry, email training@edgestudio.com. Again, training@edgestudio.com. If you are working in the industry and you want to submit your demo for work, then we have a very large casting and recording division. And the email to send your demos to is production@edgestudio.com. Again, production@edgestudio.com.
Awesome.
Or you can call us. One phone number works, 212-868 EDGE, which is 3343 again, 212-868-3343.
And your website is edgestudio.com, right?
I guess I should say that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, edgestudio.com.
Awesome. Well, this was really, really amazing. I really, really appreciate your time today. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Martin, thank you so much for offering to have this podcast.
Yeah. Excellent.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.
That's pretty much it. Thanks for listening. Every week I send out actionable bite-sized tips to help you grow your acting career and improve your technique. You can go to actorsuccesscoach.com and enter your name and email to stay up to date on the latest and best industry hacks and secrets. Thanks so much, and I'll see you soon.